Okay, well, good evening. We want to welcome everybody to our Fauna Town Hall Meet the Candidates discussion this evening. We've got our candidates starting with Allison Thomas and Becca Eccard. Becca, do you want to be called Rebecca or Becca? Oh, I think I may have lost her. She froze. We've also got Charlotte Dumford, Erin Miley, and Joe Michielli, right?
Michielli, yes.
Michielli. Okay, terrific. So this is just a little meet the candidates session. Here's how this is going to work. We're going to give each candidate 5 minutes to do an opening comments. I will have a timer on. When we get down to the 15 seconds left, I will probably interrupt you and just say you've got 15 seconds left. I'll try to do that as quietly as I can. But again, we want to try to keep on time frame as much as we can. After the opening session is done with each of you making your opening remarks, and we're going to do that by drawing names so that there's no favoritism or anything like that. So I've got a hat here full of your names. I'm just going to draw them out as we go. And then we'll go into the question session. I've got questions randomly put together, and I'll pull a name out of the hat. You'll be asked that question, and then you'll get 2 minutes to respond to that question. And then after that is done, the remaining 4 of you will get 1 minute to respond to that question if you wish. You don't have to respond to that question, but if you would like to, you certainly can. Again, I will try to best I can interrupt you, letting you know you've got 15 seconds left or 30 seconds, and we'll kind of go from there. And then after we get through that session of 5, we're going to put all of the names back in the hat and draw them again. So we'll just continue that process. We've got 15 questions put together. I don't expect to get through all 15, but we've got that many. We're going to try to keep this right at 2 hours. So about 9 o'clock time frame is when we would like to be complete. If we get right into all 15 questions, I think Allison and I put the numbers together. We was looking at like 3.5 hours. So nobody wants to do this for 3.5 hours. So we'll stick 2 hours, and we'll go from there. Is everybody ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just gonna pull a name out, and we'll start with the 5 minutes time frame. And the first name I've pulled out is Joe. So
Perfect.
Go ahead and start.
Well, first I just kind of want to, thank everyone for the nominations. It really is, it's kind of an honor. I'm new with Fauna, or newer with Fauna. There's quite a few members that have definitely been with Fauna for a long time. And, when Kayla and I joined Fauna and started our pursuit kind of for the ultimate horse and started looking at Friesians, we were welcomed with welcoming arms from a lot of people that are members of Fauna. And so it's rather comforting to know that those people that we've been able to build relationships with inside of Fauna, inside the organization, look at us in a way that they feel that they would trust us with making board decisions. And so I'm very honored by that. I hope everyone takes the time to review the bios and ask questions if they have any. I think all the candidates that are running are all bring some special things to the table that not all of us can accomplish. So I've reviewed some of the bios, and I think that all the candidates are all great candidates. And this year, I think the Fauna members are really going to have a tough, difficult decision on their hands. And I'm glad I'm not having to make that decision. I will say that. When we started with Friesians particularly, I never knew that I would get bitten by the bug per se. And I know a lot of you share the passion that I think that I share about the Frisian horse and the breed and the quality. And I feel that my expertise really comes into play on a business side of things. I'm still learning a lot about Fauna and the organization as a whole, but my background really comes in developing and running very successful companies throughout the United States. And I still view Fauna as a business, and I think that there's a lot of opportunity to make sure that we establish Fauna on a financial side of things, create more stability, increase its member base, and create some stability for the future generations to come. And I think that's where my expertise would really help and assist. And one of the reasons why I'm very excited to even have the opportunity to run for this position. So I appreciate those that have nominated me, and I look forward to, if given the opportunity, of serving all the Fauna members.
Terrific, Joe. Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, next name pulling out. Erin.
Hi, I'm Erin Miley, and I want to also congratulate the other candidates that are up for the board. I think all of them are fantastic. I've been on some committees with Charlotte, and she's wonderful and very knowledgeable. Joe, we've had a chance to talk at length about a week or two ago and introduce ourselves, and we have a lot of common goals and aspirations for Fauna. Becca, we've been in the show ring and fellow competitors, and she's a great sportsman, and I think she brings a lot to the table as well. Allison, I respect her as a fellow breeder, and she's always very knowledgeable. So kudos to Fauna and the candidates all around. A little bit about myself. My husband and I started Miley Friesians in 2011. And I thought I would have my dream horse of maybe 1 or 2 Friesians. We now have over 20. So it's, it happens. It's exciting. I do feel like I'm a well-rounded candidate for the board. Like I said, we have over 20 Friesians, so we're very vested in the breed. We do a lot of breeding, so I can put on my Friesian breeder hat for a lot of things that come on in terms of issues and how we can make North America a coveted place for Friesian breeding. We are small business owners. We farm, so we're self-employed, so we know how to sustain a business. We're really strong in the breed advocate in terms of being ambassadors to the breed. We do a lot of demos. We do equine affair, Who's Your Horse Fair, Briar Fest, a lot of things to get our horse out there and get that into the public, get the breed well known and loved by many, many more people. And we also compete at a national level. We have many national world titles to our horses, and we compete in a lot of different disciplines. And I also have a business background. I have a master's degree in business and MBA with a concentration in finance, and 2 other business degrees as bachelor degrees. So I know how to run a business. I was in the professional world for over 12 years and worked for the Department of Defense, and have a lot of background in strategic planning and management. So I can bring wear my financial hat and my business hat along with my passion hat for the breed. So I feel like I have a lot to offer for Fauna. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Erin. Next, Becca.
Hi, my name is Becca Eccard, and I am super excited to have been nominated also for the board. Along the same lines with Erin, I believe that the candidates this year are just really special, and everyone does bring a different perspective to the board. Personally, for myself, I think as a trainer and a Friesian owner, it brings a different point of view, that Fauna is changing and more of the horses are participating in a show venue. And I think that it's important for us to have someone on the board that is a trainer and is someone that shows their horses and can show a different perspective for the Fauna members. I am a USDF bronze medalist, and we run and manage a horse farm that also has Friesians and some other breeds. And we take this opportunity to teach the breed when we travel through the US to all of our different horse shows. I've also served on our local chapter for about the last 10 years. I've been a member of the club since 2007. And I look forward to hopefully taking the tools and the knowledge that I've learned on a local level and bring that and help show Fauna and help Fauna, bring our members to the next level. So thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Becca. I do think your video has frozen. So we can hear you just fine, but your video has frozen, just as an FYI.
Okay.
And next is Charlotte.
Okay. Okay. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Charlotte Dumford, and I live in Rockwall, Texas, where my husband and I own Rose Hill Friesians. We've been Fauna members since 2001 when we bought our first Friesian, a mare named Betsy T. And in the beginning, we were purely interested in having a wonderful recreation horse, and we did a lot of recreational riding and driving. And then our first foal was born. And if you want to talk about being bitten by the bug, I certainly was. And so I spent all of those early years in Friesian horses studying breeding and just devouring as much information as I could come by. And I will say that we've come a long way in access to information since then. I guess at the same time, when we were running Rose Hill Friesians, we started a wedding business. And so I was a wedding coordinator for a period of 9 years. So I'm very accustomed to operating a people-oriented business, and keeping everyone happy and keeping the business solvent at the same time can sometimes be a challenge, but I'm pretty well versed in that. In 2005, we were some of the founding members of the first Fauna chapter down here in Texas, South Central. And from 2006 to 2009, I was the touring coordinator for Texas with that chapter. In 2010, we decided to start developing some of these horses that we had been breeding as sport horses, specifically dressage horses. And that's kind of been our emphasis along with breeding since then. I've started showing myself. I compete in recognized dressage shows, so I do have a dressage background. And I think I'm fairly well-rounded as a candidate. I started working on Fauna committees, I believe, right at the outset of the Central Mare Show East, and was secretary for that particular committee. In 2018, I was elected to the Fauna Board of Directors, and that has just been an amazing experience for me working with all of the other directors. I served as secretary for Fauna for the first 2 years. And at the same time, I was on several committees, both as chair and as Fauna board liaison. More recently, this particular year, I have been board liaison for the sport committee, and we've pushed through a lot of new awards initiatives during that time. I'm also on editorial committee as board liaison, and we're responsible for getting the Friesian magazine to print, which I hope you all enjoy. In any case, I think that I bring some desirable qualities to the board of directors, and I certainly have a passion for the Friesian horse and the Fauna members.
Awesome. Thank you, Charlotte. And Allison.
Guess that leaves me. As some of the others have said, I think it's really exciting to see so many great people stepping up and volunteering to serve Fauna by being willing to be board members. Those of us who've been around for a while know how hard it can be to find really good volunteers. So I think it speaks really well of the direction that Fauna is going, to have 5 really good qualified candidates. So a bit about me. My name is Allison Thomas. It says it on the screen. I live in the middle of the Canadian prairies on 40 acres with my husband Rob and our 2 sons. We obviously raise Frisian horses and a number of other small animals, whatever happens to end up around here: sheep, heritage pigs, sometimes chickens and rabbits. And while my background and education is actually in computers, and I worked in that field for many years, I also have a history in finance, but my primary job for most of the last decade has been to run this farm. So first I was a Frisian enthusiast and then an owner and breeder. And between all of those, I've been involved in the Frisian breed for 2 decades now, which feels weird to say, about half my life. I purchased my first Frisian more than 17 years ago now. And ever since then, this breed has been a huge part of my life. It has been the central focus. I have bred and raised more than 40 Frisian foals, plus a couple of other breeds over the years. My focus has been on preserving rare bloodlines. That is something that's been really important to me. And where I live, Frisians are quite rare. So I've dedicated a lot of time to educating people about the breed, providing horses for exhibitions, organizing Team Frisian for our local equine expo, manning a booth at that same expo every year, and participating in things like obstacle days, shows, clinics, wherever else I could take Frisians out and have them seen by people who mostly just see quarter horses. On top of that, for the last 2 years, I've been using Frisians in an equine assisted therapy program. I partner with a local addiction recovery center, and we let the amazing temperament that the Frisian breed is known for help to heal people who are recovering from addiction. Since 2013, I have been serving on a variety of Fauna committees. I put my programming background to work on the IT committee. I've worked on the redesign of the Fauna booth on the marketing committee. I've written numerous articles for the education committee to go into the Frisian. And I've also worked on the rules and regulations committee. In 2018, I was elected to the Fauna board. So for the last 3 years, I have served in that capacity as well. Since joining the board, I spearheaded the formation of the Fauna Breeding Committee. I've authored a number of bylaw changes to help promote transparency and accountability between the board and Fauna members. And I was a part of putting on Fauna's 35th anniversary event. I have also served as the Fauna board secretary this year in 2020. And yeah, I hope to continue that history of service to Fauna and the membership.
Thank you, Allison. Okay, so we're going to go into our round 1. I'm going to put all the names back into my lucky hat, and we'll draw them out, and we'll start with the questions. I forgot to mention that I have gone live on Facebook, so this is also out there. We've got probably 25 watching this on Facebook as well, so you're being seen everywhere tonight. All right. Cool. These are rounds. Okay. Erin, you're going to get the first question here, and that question is maybe question 1. How do you plan to involve more members at the committee level? And if you want to, it is being shown on your screen, so you can see the question there.
Oh, okay, great. I think a lot of the involvement comes from networking and reaching out to a broad spectrum of the Fauna members. I know a lot of times people are sometimes in the wings and they're just waiting to be asked to step up and participate. So I feel like a lot of that goes back to networking. Social media is a good avenue to do that, to reach out to members to ask who has interest in a certain topic and who has something to bring to the table. So I feel like, networking, we can also go out with mass shout outs, asking for assistance, and just trying to get more people involved at many levels.
Okay. Terrific. Any responses from anybody? Start. No responses?
I think some of us want to. We're just not sure about the order.
Okay, I'll start with you, Charlotte. Charlotte, would you like to respond?
Yeah, I agree with Erin about more personal outreach and personal networking. I also believe that the chapters can be of great assistance with this. They know their members very well. They know their members' interests well. And so I think networking with the chapters could also help us to attract more committee membership and give the members more of an investment.
Okay, thank you. Joe?
Yeah, I mean, Charlotte and Erin both kind of hit the nail on the head with this one. I think having a more diversified committee, different topics inside the committee is super important. I mean, we all know that the Frisian horse in North America has definitely broadened the diversity of cultures that are purchasing Frisians, right? And I think the more time we spend creating topics of conversation and different things that need to be addressed by committees, the more involvement we'll have from people, and giving them the opportunity and reaching out to the member base and letting them know that we do need help and we would love their input, and giving them the opportunity to do that. I think, as a new member, when we originally joined Fauna, I would have loved to have joined different committees and been a part of that, but the accessibility was rather limited when we first joined, and it's only been a few years. So I think just by making it an easier transition helps a lot.
Okay, thank you, Joe. How about Becca? Becca, are you with us?
I am. I also agree. I think the best way to do this is for the board to look at members, and I mean the local chapters and the Fauna board, to look at our membership and identify persons that we think would fit into a specific committee role. And then we just ask them. A member might not volunteer to assist because they don't think they would fit that role, or they might not think that they're wanted. But if we personally ask someone and engage them, most likely they will be willing to help, and we'll be able to strengthen our numbers on committees for Fauna.
Okay, great. And Allison.
Yeah, I just have a quick little thing to add to expand on the idea of approaching the chapters, is that I think that one thing that we can utilize to encourage more committee participation is the FMC.
Yeah.
We don't have to approach the chapters directly. We have this amazing body of members that can contact the membership and find people that are interested. The other thing I think is important is to ask for very specific skill sets, because there are people who are new to the breed who think that they don't have the experience or the knowledge to help on committees. But often the skill sets that we need in committees are not just, have you owned Frisians for 10 years or more? It is things like, we need typesetters to help with marketing. We need proofreaders and editors for working on articles for the magazine. And those are skill sets that people of any experience level can help provide.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question, and you'll get 2 minutes for your answer. And it's Allison. Question 2 is, how involved have you been in Fauna committees, And what has that experience taught you that you can leverage as a board member? 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes to cover a long history in committees. I've been part of Fauna committees since 2013. I started out on the IT committee, helping with the redesign of the Fauna website. Since I joined the IT committee, I have served on 9 different Fauna committees, marketing, membership, education, the 35th anniversary, health. I'm sure I'm missing a few there. I was after I joined the board, I was the driving force behind the formation of a new committee, which is Fauna's Breeding Committee. This committee does a great deal of work in educating our members on all aspects of breeding fusions, from right at the beginning, where we help with people planning breedings and how to budget that and what to expect, and all the way on to, your foal is here, how do you market it, how do you take pictures of it? So that's been a really great thing to be a part of. Every committee that I have been a part of has taught me so much, partly about the workings of Fauna and how we depend on our volunteers, how the Fauna office works, how Fauna events are planned. There's so many things that we learn from committees that we need to know to really function well on the board. And the other thing that committees has given me that really helps me as a board member is the connection to members. I have met so many people through Fauna committees that just because of our geographical distances from each other, and maybe never would have met. And it's those connections that I think really help me be a better board member.
Great, thank you. Erin, would you like to respond?
Sure. I've been involved in the sports committee for the past 3 years or so. And that committee is led by Gail Allmiller, and she does a fantastic job with our committee. And we've been able to update different awards programs and recognition programs for those that are competing in sport, and also have revamped some of the different structure for the awards to make them more current. And the involvement in that committee has really helped me see about the process of Fauna's approval process with the committees going forward to the board. And I feel like I've had a great experience. We've got a lot of things done, a lot of things that needed update we were able to do, and that's been a great experience for me.
Thank you. Charlotte.
Yes, I would like to say something. Committee work has been a hugely important part of my whole Fauna experience. And as I mentioned before, I started out with the Central Mare Show Planning Committee before there was a Central Mare Show. And that taught me a lot about the inner workings of Fauna and how things get approved and passed. It also helped me to understand how to work with people and get things passed. As you can imagine, not everyone always agrees on everything. And then, of course, once joining the board, being committee chair of Education Committee, the AGM Planning Committee, and also being on Allison's Breeding Committee at its outset. Those things have all given me a really good inside view of the inner workings of Fauna and how it all fits together to serve the members. And I think that going forward, oh, sorry.
No,
Thanks, sorry. That's all right. That's enough.
Okay, Becca?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough that I was able to participate in the Fauna strategic planning meeting. I'm also on the 2020, 2021, and now 2022 AGM committee, as well as the Mare Show East chairman. These committees really gave me a greater insight into how the board would like to see Fauna grow and how Fauna would like to present itself during venues and events on behalf of the organization. So I look forward to taking that knowledge and putting it into good use as a board member.
Great. Thank you. And Joe?
Yeah, this is a really easy question for me to answer, actually, because I don't have a ton of it with fauna committees. Being newer to fauna, I stated earlier that had it maybe have been a little bit more accessible, it's something that I feel that we definitely would have been involved with. But I have sat on other boards in the past, and I feel the structure of the way boards generally operate is pretty much the same, and the intricacies that actually play out. I'm excited to have the opportunity to work with committees, and obviously, if I'm not elected, serving the members via committees is definitely in the agenda as well. But I don't have the experience on any of the committees at this time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll go to the next question, and the lucky name is Becca. And your question: what characteristics do you possess that you would consider as strengths when working in a board environment? And 2 minutes.
The characteristics that I possess that I think would be strengths in working in a board environment are, I'm a good listener. I pay attention to what others are saying around me and try to see how we can use those ideas to make topics better. I'm also a really hard worker. When I set my mind to something, it's the goal to get it done. I'm a really good team player. I enjoy working within groups of people. I like having the team mentality that everyone brings something to the table and everyone has their strengths. And I'm also just really passionate about this breed. And I think that that's necessary when you're going to ask to be a representing it, that you really care about it. And that's something that, I think passion is really an important characteristic as well, on top of everything else.
Okay, thank you. Joe, would you like to respond?
Yes, actually. I definitely feel that I bring a strong business background, and I think that's where my biggest strengths are going to help Fauna if I was elected to the board. I think that to work with in a board environment, the first thing you have to do is have an open mind, and have the ability to communicate clearly and not be afraid to speak your mind, be respectful of other board members. But there's a lot of really good information that's out there. There's a lot of really good members generally that are in the board, and coming to a common ground with board members is really the best way to tackle any type of problem that's on the forefront. So I think some of the areas that I could help with are, once again, keeping an open mind, working with our board members, and just providing clear communication from our members, and trying to hash out the problems as they arise.
Great, thank you. And Allison?
Sure. Yeah, there's, two main things that I would point out here as strengths for myself working on the board. One is depth of knowledge and experience with the Frisian breed, with fauna, and with the KFBS. I have a lot of years of history with the breed. I know the backstory behind a lot of things, and I think it's been a real asset to me to know that. The other is impartiality, the ability to listen and to empathize with all sides of a conflict. I consider myself a fairly level and open person. I'm composed under pressure. Everybody on the board is pretty passionate. We all love this breed a lot, and we don't always agree, but we can we can have big discussions about important subjects, and it doesn't faze me, and we all still have great respect for each other.
Thank you. And let's see, I have Erin.
Yeah, I think some of the characteristics and value that I have that can be beneficial to the board is I can wear many different hats, from competitor to breeder, ambassador for the breed, a strong marketing background, a business background, and I have a strong financial background. I also can think outside the box and know how to network with people. I'm the type, if I don't know the answer, I usually know who to call or where to find those answers for people. And I think it's always appreciated when you get the answer of, I may not know the exact answer to that question, but let me find out the answer for you. So I think that's a good characteristic to have. I feel like I'm easy to approach and can talk to many different people with different backgrounds and get along well with everyone.
Thank you. And I believe that leaves Charlotte.
That leaves me. Yeah, like Allison, I have found that experience with Fauna and the KFPS and a strong background in those areas has been a big asset to the board. There's a lot to be said about having that knowledge easily accessible there in board meetings. The other thing I believe I bring is diplomacy. I get along well with everyone, and I do have a broad background in breeding, pleasure riding, currings, competition, you name it. I've done just about everything in the last 20 years with Frisians that you can think of. And I think you have to be able to be flexible and have respect for your fellow board members, be a team player, be able to listen, and don't be completely stuck in your own mindset. Yes, you have to stand up for yourself sometimes and fight for certain projects and ideas, but you also need to be able to engage in healthy debate.
Thank you. I hope I'm not cutting you guys off. That's not my intention. I'm just nonchalantly trying to say 15 to keep us on schedule as best I can. So
yeah.
Okay, so next question. We got 2 names left here. And Joe, this next question is for you. How important to you is the adherence to the KFPS rules? In 2 minutes.
Well, I feel that, I mean, we all breed KFPS Frisians. We all own KFPS Frisians. I think the dedication to the breed is probably one of the highest things that need to be taken into consideration as far as level of importance. And their rules, I think, fall right in line with that. If for some reason we start migrating away from that as an organization, as Fauna, or even as breeders, then we put ourselves and the breed really in jeopardy. And I think that those rules and their bylaws and their set of standards that they've created are so thought out, although highly confusing at times, especially for new members. I think that if we were to find a way to communicate that more clearly to new members, it would definitely help. But they've laid the path. The brickwork has been laid, and I think that it's our responsibility as an organization and as Fauna members and as board members to continue down that path that they've laid for us. Otherwise, we're going to jeopardize everything that prior members and prior board members and our current member base works so hard to have, which is a quality, majestic, beautiful Frisian horse, right? So I think that we definitely have to keep those rules in mind at all times.
Thank you. And we'll start with Becca. Would you like to respond?
Yes, thank you. I also think it's extremely important that we stay consistent and follow the KFPS rules. And the simple line for me in that is that I just think it is our job in Fauna to maintain the standards of the KFPS. They have done the work. They have done, their due diligence to the breed, and the history there is already set. The rules are set, and it's just our job to maintain their standards and explain to our membership why those standards are there.
Great, thank you. And Charlotte?
Yeah, actually adhering to KFPS rules is extremely important to me. That, our connection to the KFPS and its very high standards were one of the original things that first attracted me to the Frisian horse and to Fauna in particular. I think it's important that we adhere to those rules that they set, because after all, they started this mission to protect and promote the Frisian horse. And that's what we're here to do as well, in my opinion.
Great, thank you. Erin?
Yes, I have to agree with everyone that spoke so far. Importance to KFPS rules is, should be our #1 objective for Fauna. We are here to carry out their rules. Now, if there's something that's not working for North America, that's something maybe we could be able to take forward to KFPS. But the KFPS rules were stringent and easy to follow for me when I came board into the breed, to set clear expectations, and that is what drew me to the breed. And so it is very important for us to stick with the KFPS rules.
Thank you. And Allison?
I'll echo what the others have already said. I mean, the KFPS rules and their strict dedication to those rules is the entire reason that we have a Frisian breed now to love and promote. They're the entire reason that any of us are here. Without them, the breed wouldn't exist. So, these rules are why we can have this discussion. The other thing I thought was important to mention is that that strict KFPS testing and rules is, as a breeder, invaluable to me, because that is what provides us with the stallion information and these huge pieces of data that they give us every year on what stallions are producing. And that is one of the things that sets the KFPS and so Fauna apart from all of the other registries that have purebred Friesians, but they don't have the information and the data that we have because of the KFPS rules.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so we've got one more question for this round, and that question is going to go to Charlotte.
Okay.
Charlotte, your question is, how would you characterize your current involvement with Friesians, pleasure owner, competitor, breeder, etc.? And how will you leverage your own experience with the breed to represent Fauna members?
My answer to that would be pretty much all of the above. I am certainly a pleasure owner, especially this year when there hasn't been much else to do. I have been an active competitor since about 2010. I'm very involved as a breeder, which means I'm involved with the curing process. I think that all of those things and having firsthand personal experience in all of those things gives me a lot of insight into the particular needs of those groups. I can understand where they're coming from, and I understand what they may need. It also allows me to talk to them with some knowledge and experience about these things. And I think that's pretty invaluable coming into the board setting. You need to know about all of these aspects of Frisian ownership.
Great, thank you, Charlotte. Okay, Becca, would you like to respond?
Yeah, quickly too, I just want to say I'm not sure what's wrong with my camera feed. I can see everyone and everyone can see me, and I'm trying to figure out what the issue is. So I do apologize. But to answer the question also, I also am a pleasure owner and a competitor, and I have experience with breeding. And I also think that that is helpful with me also being a trainer and a professional in the industry, that I can answer just about any question that a member would have in that context and can relate to any questions or concerns that they would have.
Okay, thank you. Allison, would you like to respond?
Sorry, who did you ask? You cut out briefly there. for me.
Allison, would you like to respond?
Oh, perfect. Sorry. Yes. You know, my involvement with Friesians falls into mostly the breeder category. I mean, I'm a rider. I'm an aspiring driver. I have done many years of exhibitions, but primarily I am a breeder. I certainly fall into the small breeder category, and I think that my experience of running a Friesian breeding program for the last 17 years has really given me an understanding of the struggles that a lot of our membership goes through. A large portion of our breeding membership are small breeders, 1 mare owner, 2 mare owners, not larger farms. And so
15.
I can relate and understand a lot of what they are going through and represent them on the board.
Great. How about Erin?
Okay, well, in terms of current involvement, we're heavily involved. We do compete with our Friesians at the national level in a lot of different disciplines, from dressage to driving, side saddle, tandem, you name it. I usually try to give it a go. Breeder, we have 9 horses, 9 mares bred for 2021. So the importance of breeders of North American bred horses is extremely important to me. We have 20 Friesians. They're all here at home with us. I'm their primary caretaker and trainer. So I have a lot of firsthand experience with just the day-to-day care and love of this breed. I'm also an ambassador. We like to go to do different demos and get our horses out there. Pleasure riding, we take our horses trail riding. We have 3 girls that even take some Friesians and show in the 4-H program. So we definitely enjoy our horses in a wide variety of methods.
Thank you. And last, Joe.
Yeah, so, you know, personally, our Friesians probably play one of the most important parts in our lives. I think we spend every morning and every evening in the barn with our horses. You know, we're very involved, whether it's riding, driving, or breeding. I think for myself, being a newer than some breeder, right? I mean, we've been breeding for a few years now, but we don't have 25 years of breeding experience. I also think that being resourceful is important, because there's a lot of new people that are getting into Friesians, and they don't expect people whoever they confront or come ask for questions, to really have the answers. So I think that, you know, being resourceful and knowing where to find the answers is also equally as important as having the knowledge. I mean, knowledge obviously is extremely important, but being able to find the answer and help new members that are getting into it find the answer and walk through the whatever the question may be that they have is also very important.
Great, thank you. Well, that completes round 1. We got through that with nobody breaking out the boxing gloves. All right, so I've got all the names put back into a hat. We're gonna redraw them out, and we'll go on to question 6. Give them a good shake, and we're going to start with Becca. And question 6 is, What can Fauna do to encourage purebred Friesian owners to register their horses with the KFPS versus another registry?
What can Fauna do to encourage purebred Friesian owners to register their horses with the KFPS versus another registry? Two answers. One, education, education, education. It is so important that we explain to our members and that they make sure that they have an understanding that 100 years ago, this breed almost went extinct. We need to educate the importance of keeping the integrity of the breed. We need to make sure that our members know that the KFPS and Fauna is the registry that has the STOM book occurring, and make sure that they are aware and understanding of the KFPS's value on approved breeding stallions and how to pick and use the right breeding stallions. I think if we use education and use this as a teaching opportunity, we can get more members to join the club, not only just for registering their horses when they purchase them, but moving forward within Fauna in membership years if we teach them the importances.
Great, thank you. And Joe, would you like to respond?
Yeah, actually, I think that this is a great opportunity to kind of discuss one of my initiatives that I would try to tackle if I was elected to the board. I think education obviously is an extremely important factor, but I also believe that if we created a Friesian buyer's guide, if you will, that would be committee-based to assist new members in wanting to join Fauna. I think I spoke on it earlier, but there's obviously a large demographic now that own Friesians, and giving potential Fauna members the tools that they need to really see the difference between a KFPS registered Friesian and another registry would entice them to want to join Fauna.
Great, thank you. Charlotte?
Yeah, I think, as Becca said, education is absolutely the key to this. We need to emphasize and get the information out there that the KFPS has an unparalleled amount of data and resources to assist breeders with their Friesian horse breeding. And I think that that's something that not enough people really understand. I mean, the benefit of those KFPS connections is to access all of those resources. And we are a more member-driven registry than some of the others out there. We are the premier registry because of our connection to the KFPS. And so I think it is extremely important, and maybe we need to market it better, as well as better education.
Thank you. Erin?
Yeah, I would concur with everyone who spoke before in terms of being able to educate those out there on why it is important to register their horses with the KFPS versus another registry. I think a lot of that comes down to being able to communicate that in a little bit more user-friendly way, and also to demonstrate the value of the registry. I mean, when people see a KFPS registered horse, you know, a lot of times that has a little bit higher quality and more commitment by the breeders in terms of their goals and what they wanted to produce with that horse. So I think a lot of it comes down to communicating the value of the registry and being able to demonstrate the value.
Okay, thank you. And Allison?
Well, I have to laugh because I'm looking at my notes here, and what I have written down is word for word what Rebecca said: education, education, education. That it bears saying 3 times because it's just that important. So, you know, she's exactly right. The primary thing here is education. The second part of that, though, is making education that is welcoming. There are a lot of people out there that have purebreds that have been made to feel unwelcome, or they feel that they've been made to feel unwelcome. And if we want to draw purebred owners to the KFPS and to Fauna, then we can't make them feel like second-class citizens. No one wants to be told that their pride and joy Frisian is not good enough. And, you know, we all know that Frisians are like potato chips, you can't have just one. And so when that person goes to buy their second Frisian, we want it to be a KFPS Frisian. And that's not going to happen if they're convinced that Fauna and the KFPS don't want them.
Thank you. So question 7. Seven is going to go to Erin. What goals do you have for your first term if elected to the Fauna board, or is there anything specific you wish to accomplish?
Yeah, I think in terms of my board involvement, I have 3 or 4 main goals, one of which is to place more value on the horses bred here in North America. Another is our youth aspect. I think that's a huge void here in North America. We just don't see enough youth riders enjoying this breed. And I think if we get the breed out there and do more mentoring and more specific things to get youth involvement, that's going to be one of my goals. Also breed awareness, just basically the last question we just talked about in terms of why a KFPS horse is of value versus some of the other breeds that are out there. And also I feel like if we could champion a horse to the highest level of sport, I think if we come together and try to figure out how to sponsor or champion some of these horses to the highest level, you know, the proof is in the pudding. If we want to be recognized as a top contender in the sport horse world, getting more horses out there would be, you know, proof in the pudding. So I guess those are 4 goals: value in North American breeders, more youth involvement, breed awareness, and propelling more sport horses.
Okay, thank you. Allison, would you like to respond?
Well, I mean, this would be for a second term, not my first, but if I am elected again, one of my biggest goals is to continue and finish the development and implementation of the Fauna Breeder Achievement Award. This would be an award that is set out to honor the dedicated breeders that are producing our quality Frisians in North America. And it's something that I'm really excited to see become a reality.
Okay, thank you. I believe your video has, well, there you are now. Your video froze there for a second. So Charlotte, would you like to respond?
Yeah, actually, as this would be my second term as well, I think first and foremost, we need to go ahead and push forward implementing the directives that we got during the strategic planning meeting. We've done an amazing amount of development of those programs during this past year, in spite of COVID. And I think those are the things that we need to push through and address first. I would, however, like to make more resources available for our communities who's, who may experience language barriers. I think we need to create more things to educate those people whose first language may not be English. And I also think we need to make sure that we create these resources for other communities who may not be online, so to speak. I think we've got a lot of educating to do in those areas.
Okay, thank you. Joe?
You know, I think the first thing I would want to accomplish is to pick the low-lying fruit. And I think that, you know, Fauna's overall ability to communicate with its members and provide a platform and give them the ability to participate is kind of lacking. And so I think that would be one of the first things that I would want to try to accomplish, would provide a platform for new members, and show more Frisian appreciation to its members. There's not a lot of incentive to join Fauna. So I think that evaluating our current approach to enticing new members to the organization would be some of those things. And then also I think that we talked about education like on the prior question, but maybe looking at what we're currently doing with B-Book 2 Frisians and what impact those are going to have or do have on Fauna as an organization.
Okay, thank you. And Becca.
Yeah, my personal goals, if elected, are one, I think we also, to Joe's point, we need to take a look at the number of B-Book 2 breedings that are being offered, and we need to continue to educate the importance of approved stallions and the reasoning why the KFPS has such strict rules for approving its stallions as well as its breeding program. And secondly, I think as an organization, we need to focus on the inclusion of those who English is not their primary language, as well as those who abstain from technology. I have some plans and ideas to accomplish this, but it can't fit into a minute, so read my bio and questionnaire to get the answer. Ding.
Okay, thank you. All right, question 8 is going to go to Joe. Not all Fauna members have equal access to inspection sites due to distance and other factors. How can Fauna best balance its fiduciary responsibilities while aspiring to provide more inspection opportunities for our members?
Well, this strikes home for me personally, because on the West Coast, we really lack a lot of inspection locations. So I think to start, I think we need to do an accurate survey of where our members really reside and do a better job at orchestrating the actual locations that we're holding inspections at, and doing the things that we can to make it more accessible for the members. A prime example would be in my region, if we attend the Washington Curing, the West Mare Show is a day and a half after. And it creates a lot of issues for people that want to show a mare at the Washington Curing, to give them adequate time to prepare, travel, rest their mares for show at the West Mare Show. So I think really taking a better look at the plan that we have in place and seeing if there are any opportunities for us to better that for all members would probably be the first place I would start.
Okay, thank you. Erin, would you like to respond?
Sure. I think some of that may boil down to a grassroots approach. If you can guarantee a certain number of horses for a curing, maybe Fauna would be more inclined to offer up some judges. Another, just thinking outside of the box, COVID kind of put things in perspective. Maybe we could hold even some virtual curings for basic judging, maybe not for the highest level of judging, obviously, but from basic judging. Maybe we could offer some virtual curing and have some requirements for that. Maybe we need to look at more options in terms of our own North American judges or runners, having them more available across North America versus relying on bringing judges here to the United States every time. So yeah, I think some of those ideas might help it be more accessible for Fauna members across our vast geographic regions.
Thank you. Becca?
Yeah, Yeah, I agree with what Erin has said, and then I would like to add to that also that, you know, a way to keep it fair to the Fauna/KFPS as well as the members is, you know, we could consider offering the smaller demographics occurring every other year so that, you know, they could bring their horses when they were 3 or 4. And then it's not such a financial hardship on the clubs or Fauna. But it shows that we are trying to accommodate their needs as well. Another option on that same line could be having a lottery. So maybe every year Fauna says we have room for 2 extra occurrings, and organizations or locations could submit a request to have one of those lottery spots, and then randomly it's chosen and they've won that bid for the year. I think those could be a couple of interesting ways to show our members that even though they may not be in an area that has 20 Frisians available to do occurring, we still care about their horses.
Perfect, thank you. Allison?
Hey, just a quick note, my internet connection seems to be having some difficulty, so I'm losing sound in and out here. I might drop video to see if it increases the sound quality so I can hear better. The one thing I have to add to this is that I think that in order to offer more sites, a model that has worked really well for a couple of our site hosts is to really promote sponsorships and fundraising to help cover the cost of an inspection. And so if we could promote that to other sites, it could take the financial strain off having smaller inspections that have only a handful of horses. Not something that would happen often in an area, but even if those sites could happen every few years, it would give a lot of opportunity to our members that otherwise either have to travel for half a day further, or people who just don't go at all because it's too far.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Charlotte, would you like to respond?
Yeah, I mean, we're always going to be challenged by our geography here. And I think certainly going with an every other year for some of those far-flung sites is an option. Also, I'm kind of intrigued by Becca's idea of a lottery system to determine that. Also, I think fundraising and sponsorships would certainly help with that, even if they can't pull the numbers. If they can raise enough funds to offset some of the cost for Fauna, then I think that could be a go for those underserved areas.
Great, thank you. Excuse me. Move on to question number 9, and this one is going to be asked of Allison. Considering the fracturing and separate registries, what are some of your ideas to bring the Frisian community back together as one inclusive unit?
I mean, in many ways, this goes back to a question that we already discussed. Education is what helps bring people back, and making people feel welcome and wanted is what's going to bring them back to the KFPS. And I think that there's a lot of different ways to get that education out there. We do some of them. We have brochures, we have print and digital ads, presentations and show and exhibitions is really big to get the word out there as to why people want to be a part of Fauna and be a part of the KFPS. Other ways that we've discussed that we could implement are things like commercials. That's a marketing avenue that we really haven't gone down. The webinars that we present that talk a lot about things that we offer as being part of the KFPS, I think that those should be offered to a wider audience base, because that education is a large part of what sets us apart from the other registries, from the FHH and from crossbreds, and these are the things that we have to offer. People need to know about them.
Thank you. Joe, would you like to respond?
Yes, absolutely. I really think this just boils down to what we're going to do for the members. And Fauna, from what I've gathered and from what I've seen, is still kind of a good old boys club. It's very political, and it's more about who you're friends with and who likes you and who doesn't like you. And the issue that presents is the members lose when that takes place. So as far as bringing back the community back together as one inclusive unit, the overall culture of Fauna needs to change. And everyone inside of Fauna has to realize that to make the change. And also by giving them the ability to have some type of platform where they can voice their opinions and share their thoughts is ideal. But I mean, right now, the overall focus needs to be on Fauna's culture.
Okay. And Erin, how would you respond?
Yeah, a lot of what some of the others were talking about. I think we need to communicate, express, educate the value of the KFPS horse. Kind of more of a, if you build it, they will come mentality. If we are open and show the value of the KFPS horse, I think people will come back together. I also think that we need to come together for more of a common ground on all of our horses, and we all love our horses. So I think there could be less separation judging of the other registries. If KFPS did more of, this is why we feel like the KFPS is valuable versus saying why we're superior to the other, the breed registries. I think that would go a long way with some of the people moving from one other registry to our own. So yeah, less judging and build it, they will come, show the value of the KFPS.
And Charlotte?
Yeah, I think that's very true. In many ways, this question has been previously touched on in other questions. I think that the whole idea of culture, fauna culture, is pretty important to this particular question. It has been an old boys network, and that is slowly evolving for sure. But I do want to caution too that those old boys in the network have a lot of experience that can be put to good use. And we need to honor and value that too, while still pushing forward to embrace more members. Look, the KFPS is the premier registry for Frisian horses in the world, and Fauna is part of that. And we do need to educate people on that, but we need to do it in a non-judgmental, more welcoming way, I think. And that to me goes back to Joe's culture idea.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Becca?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what everyone has said, but I also think on top of that, with there being so many options for registering horses, I think we need to look at brand recognition. I think we need to put a little bit more time and energy into making Fauna be the first thing that comes to anyone's mind when they think of the word Frisian, and that Frisian, Fauna is the only option in their mind for registering their horses. When you want to buy a Frisian, Fauna is the only website that you go to get that Frisian. I think we need to promote that we have a Fauna portal, unlike the other registries. I think if we look at branding what we already have and work with the strengths that we have, it will be easier for us to bring everyone back together.
Got a good brand.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, we do.
And Charlotte, I think the last question goes to you.
Okay. I have to lean forward to read it off the screen, Jason.
What changes, if any, do you feel need to be made to ensure equal representation for all Fauna members, including those geographic areas with fewer Fauna members and fewer Fauna events?
Okay, well, this is pretty interesting, actually, and I was thinking about this a little bit earlier. as I said, we're always going to be geographically challenged. But one positive thing that I think has come out of this whole pandemic experience is our use of technology to reach out and connect with people. You know, I mean, I think most of us are starting to get pretty comfortable with this. And I think for these far-flung members in underserved areas with fewer Fauna events, I think they could certainly benefit from the use of this technology to connect with other Fauna members. We've already had the virtual show, and that was immensely popular. And I gotta tell you, I saw some people participating in these virtual events that I really haven't seen a lot of in other venues. And so I think going forward, I think we can be more inclusive of those members by using this technology that we've discovered and grown more comfortable with.
Thank you. Erin, how would you respond?
I agree with Charlotte. I was really excited to see some of the virtual shows that Fauna had this year, and some of the new members or members that I had never seen before come forward with some really exciting things that they're doing. I think some of it goes, you know, if you're in a geographic area that's fairly remote, I would implore some of those members to even do a grassroots approach to getting the Frisian horse out there. Maybe sponsor a class. Maybe you're surrounded by, such as like what area that we're in, where it's quarter horse country and stock horse country, and maybe it's a matter of sponsoring some classes for Frisians and some of the local regional shows. So maybe sponsor a class. We also created our own Frisian demo for our local county fair, and kind of just by word of mouth ended up with about 15 Frisians at our local county fair for a demo. So I would implore some of those members to come up with new and creative ways, and Fauna could also help with that and give some benchmarks on how to go about getting Frisians out there in those areas.
Okay. Thank you. Becca?
Yeah, I think, again, you know, I had 2 points to this question. One, we just spoke about it, is offering currings in the smaller locations for those demographics that need it. But also I think we need to take a look at the fact that many Frisian owners now only show or campaign their horses. So if they already have gone to the curring and got their star, they might not have a need to be a member of Fauna anymore. I think an option for that is that I really think Fauna should host a show again, and whether that's yearly or every other year, I think it will show our members that we appreciate them and we want to put on an event in a venue that they can participate in, similar to what we do for the breeders by hosting all of the currings for that purpose. It could be, you know, Fauna Nationals. It could be, you know, similar to the, you know, a big USEF rated show, but without all of the legalities of it. And then in order to go into that show, you would have to be a member of Fauna. So that would bring membership numbers up as well.
Live stream it all.
And Allison?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I wanted to suggest here, going along the lines of the virtual show, which was an amazing success and showed just what exactly we could do, is to make more Fauna events available virtually. And I'm not just talking about inspections. One of the big ones that we've talked about in the AGM committee is having the AGM be available virtually, making the speakers available, making the breakout sessions available, making the banquet available from a virtual perspective. Geography always separates us, but technology lets us overcome that. Yes. And we usually have a turnout of 100 to 120 people at an AGM. We could have, you know, we have a membership in the 1500s. We're seeing just a very tiny percentage of people participate in our AGM, we could easily double, triple, or more the numbers of our members that could get the benefit of all the education and information provided at the AGM, no matter where they are.
Okay, thank you, Allison. So that concludes round 2, and I don't believe anybody's against the ropes yet.
Actually, I don't know if I responded to that question, Jason. Do you mind if I
I'm
take?
sorry, Joe. Yes.
No,
yes,
that's okay.
please.
I think Allison is correct. This is really just a lesson in economics. And if we increase our member base, we will increase the number of inspections that we have. Things that we can look at doing are obviously taking a look at B-Book and marketing and advertising towards that type of member base. But it surely is just about the numbers. And if we're seeing 120 at the AGM and there's 1,500 members, Allison's correct. If we increase those numbers, we'll have more inspections. We'll have the need for more inspections. The financial burden that Fauna will take on will be lessened by an increased member base. So marketing and advertising Fauna and creating that brand that's and expanding on the brand that Fauna has created to some of those other different cultural areas, I think will definitely make a very large difference in the financial success of Fauna and allow us the ability to have more inspections and eliminate some of those geographic concerns that we're currently faced with right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No worries. That's okay.
So thank you. So that does conclude round 2. We'll go ahead and go on to round 3, and it does look like we will get through all the questions here. So we'll go on, and I've got the names put in here again. We're going to draw them again. Trying to get them all shaken up here good. Okay, looks like Charlotte, you've got the first question here. Are you a member of a Fauna chapter? If so, describe how your experience at the chapter level has prepared you for the Fauna board.
Okay, currently I am not a Fauna chapter member. I have been a very involved member of a Fauna chapter here in Texas. Early on, we were, as I mentioned before, we were some of the founding members of the first chapter here in Texas. At this particular moment in time, I actually think that my not being affiliated with a chapter is probably an asset to my work on the board. Primarily because it allows me to be objective and it allows me to consider all issues fairly and without favoritism. I might add that it's also a little bit nice for me because I get invited to both chapters' events, which I do attend fairly regularly. Trail rides, shows, various other kinds of public appearances. And so I actually think that that's an asset for me to not belong to a chapter at this particular moment in time on the board. I think my chapter involvement did prepare me very well for being on the board, knowing how to work with people and work in a leadership position in a chapter, in addition to coordinating the Texas Curing for 4 years. So I think the chapter experience has been very valuable to my being on the board.
Joe, would you like to respond?
Could you come back to me, Jay? Sorry, my computer is kind of glitching on me a little bit. I'm gonna reset it real fast.
No problem. No problem. We'll go on to Erin.
Yeah, I've been a member of the Ohio Valley chapter since I think about 2013. I have had a great experience with Ohio Valley chapter. It helps value the impact of the chapters for their ability to put on curings, to member recruitment. It's also a great way to connect people locally. And I think if people feel connected with one another, they're more inclined to have retained membership. So I think the chapters are very, very important for that aspect.
Okay. Thank you. Becca?
Yeah, I became a member of our local chapter in 2007, the Northeast Frisian Horse Club. Since I've had that opportunity, I've served as a board of director, as the vice president and the president. I acted as the committee chair for our horse shows, and I also helped with the year-end season awards. And I think that participation at the local level really has prepared me for the next step, moving into a Fauna board position. And when I knew that I wanted to run for the Fauna board at some point, I took the steps to run locally first and learn from our local chapter before I asked to be elected to the Fauna board. So I think it's really important to have that background.
Okay. And Allison? Allison still with us?
Sorry, as I said, the sound is cutting in and out. So yeah, please ask me again when if I don't respond right away. I probably missed my name being called. I've had the pleasure to be a member of 2 different chapters. I was originally a member of the Northwest chapter when I first got into Frisians. I lived in the Pacific Northwest, and I got to have 5 years with that chapter. Then I moved to the Prairies and became a member of the Alberta Frisian Horse Association, which has also been an amazing experience. Unfortunately, I live too far away from the bulk of the members of the chapter to participate in person a lot of the time. That said, this chapter has been an inspiration to me. Their dedication and commitment to promoting this breed in an area where most people only ever see quarter horses is just amazing. This is a chapter that has won Fauna Chapter of the Year multiple times. They participate in exhibitions and trade shows. They have the musical ride. They put together the Alberta Quadrille that they showed at the Fauna 35th. And being a part of that chapter, even if it's mostly at a distance, has been a really great experience for me.
Thank you. Joe?
Okay, yes, I apologize. I'm having some internet connectivity issues myself. We are recently joined the Pacific Frisian Horse Club, which I believe is the newest member for Fauna. And, you know, due to COVID, it's really limited our interaction, I believe, in this region of the country. We were some of the first to get shut down, and the club's kind of been rather quiet, just with everything that's kind of taken place over the last 12 months. So the overall involvement's been limited, but we look forward to 2021. And as soon as we can all start taking these masks off and getting together and being as much involved as we can be with the Pacific Frisian Horse Club. So.
Thank you, sir. Okay, our next question, question 12. Going to go to Joe. What can Fauna do to attract more amateur competitors and youth members?
Well, there's a lot we can do. That's a very broad area and a very broad question to try to answer in a 2-minute time period. But the first focus would be the continued support of the youth program that we have in place right now. Staying focused on advertising towards the sport horse. I know in my area there's a very large dressage following, and when we go to dressage events, there are very few Frisians, and their kids nowadays are falling in love with them rather fast, and so I think just trying to encourage our members to be active and out and involved in all the different types of organizations and events that are around the country would be probably one of the first steps. And if we need to find a way to incentivize our members to do that, whether it's provide them with silly things, some type of Fauna merchandise to hand out, or something to attract people to Fauna, and bring them in as members, and as well as attract the youth members. But I think focusing on the current direction with the youth programs is definitely vital.
Thank you. Allison, would you like to respond? Allison?
Yeah, I agree that the current direction with future Fauna is looking to be an amazing way to attract more youth, and I'm really excited to see that implemented in 2021 as we move forward. Attracting amateurs, I think, is a long-term initiative that's got a lot of aspects to it. One of the big things I think that I would like to see pursued is an initiative that we were discussing in the marketing committee way back in 2018 and even before, which was the Fauna Ambassador Program, that would enable us to put more Frisians in front of an amateur audience, so that people, when they think about buying their next amateur mount or amateur driving horse, they think of a Frisian because they have seen Frisians being successful as an amateur mount.
Thank you. Charlotte?
Yes. Well, I think this is kind of an exciting question for me and Erin, because we've just recently in sport committee been developing and tweaking our youth awards programs. And I think those awards programs, if we market them correctly and get more people involved, can certainly attract a lot more youth members. I'm also really excited about the Young Fauna program that we've been developing this year. Membership committee has had a big hand in that, and I like the direction that that's going. I think giving youth members a mentor is going to be really important in attracting and keeping them, because keeping them is what we really want to do. And, as far as amateur competitors go, those awards are also important to amateur competitors. And we need to get people out there. The Fauna ambassadors that we talked about, that Allison mentioned, I think that's a really good program. We need to see more Frisians out in competition.
Great. Becca?
Yeah, I have a lot of similar thoughts as everybody else. I think to the point of the amateurs, I think that is definitely just a marketing strategy where we need to show that the Frisians are a good horse for our amateur riders, not only for dressage, but for driving and for the pleasure arenas. And I would also, on a separate point, talking about the youth, I think Fauna should consider doing some youth scholarship programs, and for children and kids and families that are involved within Fauna for many years. I think it gives back to the kids and to the members, and it shows that we're giving back to them. And those could be for kids that ride and that don't ride. Another idea that I had was to do a family membership. Rather than, when horses and kids are showing, it's so expensive to pay for all of the memberships. But with the family membership, if a Fauna member has kids, they could be added within their membership instead of having to pay 3 or 4 if they have more than one kid.
Okay. Thank you. And Erin?
Yeah, I think there's a lot we can do in this area. We can promote our breed and more youth and amateur friendly competition or events. We can support our youth in more vast disciplines, not just dressage. We can support our youth and our amateurs and more of a variety of disciplines. I think it would be really awesome if we created a more active youth program that was ideally led by youth, and so they would have a more sense of belonging. I think we can do a better job of mentoring our youth and amateur riders. I know when we go to our shows, we usually bring a youth rider with us, and it's worked out amazing, not only for that youth rider who gets to ride their first Frisian in a competition, but also for us to see their smiles on their face when they get to do so. I think we also need to show more value of the breed with the youth and the amateurs, like some of the other ones mentioned. We have 3 young girls, and when our 9, 10, and 12-year-old girls take them to 4-H and show how amateur-friendly Frisians can be, that's the best marketing we can have out there. So to have the breed and more of these youth events would go a long way.
Thank you. So question 13 is going to go to Becca. What changes can be made to ensure we retain more FHANA members?
I think this is a really important question that doesn't have a really simple answer. I think we need to continue engaging the current membership and recognize that the needs and the wants of our members can change often. And I think that basically we need to just continue to create more excitement. We need to make sure we're having more events. Although it's great to have technology involved, we need to also recognize that there are members of our organization that do not have technology. Again, more education. And I think there is some more availability with social media, with Instagram and Facebook, and that we could be taking more advantage of, and I would love to see us do that.
Okay, thank you. Erin?
Yeah, I think we can find value-added activities for a broader spectrum of FHANA members. There's, some FHANA members that that only breed. There's other FHANA members that only compete, and there's a whole lot of recreational riders out there. So we need to express the benefit of being a FHANA member. If you are quote unquote only a recreational rider, what value the FHANA organization can provide to them. And also for the youth, if we start them young and give them a sense of belonging, I feel like the retention for future members will be improved.
Okay, thank you. Joe?
Well, I definitely feel that that there's some things that we can do inside of the organization, inside of Fauna, to create a long-term membership base. And one of those things I feel we could do is create rather than, when I listen to a lot of members, and a lot of members that I've spoke with believe in incentivizing the membership. And I think that tenure is extremely important, but in other organizations that I've been a part of, they've all offered a lifetime membership opportunity to purchase. And I think that if we had something like that available, we will have that membership base for as long as they want to have it. So I also believe that recognition is extremely important. And when you've been a member of an organization for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I think it's really important as an organization that we recognize that, and that we make it publicly announced that, such and such person has been a member for 25 years. And whether it's in the form of a pin, or we discuss it and bring it up and give an award at the AGM. But I definitely feel that there's some things that we can do to retain those members.
Thank you. Charlotte?
Yes. Okay. For this particular question, it is not a simple question, as Becca mentioned. I think for me, I would say more personal outreach, creating more connectedness, letting the members know whether they own 1 horse or 50 horses, that they matter and that they're an integral part of this organization. I think one of the things that is going to help with this, and something that's near and dear to my heart, is something we brought up in the strategic planning meeting, the mentor program. We've been developing that, and I think that's going to go a long way towards making people feel welcomed, heard, valued, and included.
And Allison.
I agree with a lot of what the others have said. I think that awards and recognition are really important factors in making our members feel appreciated. One of the other things I think that it's just so important to go back to what Charlotte was saying is that one of the ways that we retain members is by listening to them. And it sounds like a very simple thing, but it can be a big job. We are a big organization. We have a lot of members. We have a very diverse membership, and we can't make everybody happy all the time. Trying to would drive us crazy. But what we can do is listen to our members when they have positive feedback and when they have negative feedback. We can make sure that they are heard. And I believe that every member, no matter whether they have 1 Friesian or 20 or 50, and whether they're brand new to the breed or, are a multi-generation Friesian owner, they all deserve to be heard. And that personal attention to our members can be the difference between a member who stays with us or a member who decides not to renew.
Okay, thank you. I have to apologize. Copper has jumped on my lap and has told me that 8:30. So
That's awesome.
he has now joined us. Okay, we have 2 questions left. And question 14 is going to go to Allison. How will you represent Fauna members in a new way?
That's number 10.
Okay, so I'm running for a 2nd term on the board. So I think that it's kind of an interesting question to talk about committing to representing members in a new way. I believe that I've been representing Fauna members in a new way for the past 3 years. One of the big things that I talked about when I ran for election last time was promising to be a board member that would hold the board accountable and would be more transparent than some previous board members have been. And the membership was very clear 3 years ago that was something that was important to them when they elected 3 people that all made that same promise. And for 3 years, I have done my very best to be accountable, to be transparent, to be available to our membership. And that is my continued promise, to continue to represent every Fauna member, to give every member a voice, and to be available to our membership so that I know what the members want.
Thank you. Erin.
Yes, I think I can represent Fauna members in a new way by offering a multi-perspective approach from the breeder, the competitor, the breed ambassador approach, all kind of wrapped up in one. I also think I have an out-of-the-box thinking and creative side where to come up with new ideas and how to propel Fauna into the future.
Okay. Becca, would you like to respond?
Yeah, thank you. I think 2 points. I think similar to Erin, I think I have experience in my daily life kind of covers all of the different aspects of what the members of Fauna are. So I'm able to understand and organize and what everyone is, what their thoughts and concerns are. And I can, speak to them and know what their what they're thinking and understanding. I also think as a trainer, it brings a different perspective as we try to move forward with a lot of the sport things that we're doing. You know, as a trainer of this breed, I know what the sport is, and what the terms and the rules are, and what we need to do to really showcase it against other breeds and make the Frisian horse look even better than some of the other options to people looking at horses.
Okay. Thank you. And Joe?
It's funny because I think a lot of us share the same ideas when it comes to this. I know I've spent quite a bit of time on the phone with Erin in the past, and our beliefs are very similar. I really think Fauna members just want to be heard. And I don't feel that they have the platform right now to have a voice. So I think representing Fauna members in a new way would be in a way that we could create a platform to give them a voice to where they can be heard, so they do feel appreciated. I feel I bring a fresh perspective to Fauna that may or may not currently exist. But I think that if we give them the ability to have a voice, it's amazing what our members will tell us.
And Charlotte?
Yeah, you know, as a board member seeking a second term, I have to say that Allison hit the nail on the head. When we first ran for office 3 years ago, there had been a lot of dissatisfaction among members with board members who had conflicts of interest and lack of transparency and so on and so forth. I think that is the new way of being on the Fauna board. We made that promise to be transparent, to hold ourselves accountable, and to not operate in our own self-interest, but to serve the members of Fauna. And I think that was, is, and should continue to be the new way of representing Fauna members, so that everyone is heard.
Thank you. So that gives us one more question, and that will go to Erin. Why did you decide to run for the Fauna board?
Well, I think, last but not least, I think I'll keep this answer short and sweet. I would say I'm passionate about the breed is an understatement. I'm also vested in the success of the breed. I really want to see Fauna succeed and do great things and be a catalyst to the future for the Frisian horse. And I also feel like I have the skills and background to help the board and get them to that future successful state.
Okay, thank you. Becca?
Running for the Fauna board has been a goal and a vision that I've had now for a few years. And I truly believe that I'm in a place now with what I've learned with my local chapter and on some Fauna committees, that it would be a good time for me to help continue the growth of Fauna and the organization. I think Fauna is in a good place, but I think I can bring some great new ideas and help make it even better and bring the membership closer together.
Charlotte?
Well, I'm seeking re-election because, call me crazy, I think this is a really exciting time to be a part of Fauna and part of its leadership in particular. Involving the members in the strategic planning session at this AGM this year, that created a lot of energy. And I would like to continue to embrace our members in that way and make Fauna a more responsive organization to its members.
And Joe?
Yeah, I realized that that the Frisian breed in North America is being threatened right now from a lack of, I'm going to try to stay very politically correct here, so I apologize, but from a lack of Frisian prospective owners and new owners that just have a complete lack of understanding of the breed and what goes into a KFPS registered filly, what a purebred Friesian is, and all the differences. And I feel that my business experience and my willingness to help the breed really put me in a position to make me want to try to help the board and help the members of Fauna take on some of these threats head on and provide my assistance in any way that I possibly can to protect the horses that we've all come to be so passionate about.
And Allison?
Well, as Charlotte said, I'm running for re-election for the board. But the first time I ran for the board, or when I ran for the board 3 years ago, it was because, over the time I've been involved with Fauna, I've seen really, really great board members that were big inspirations for me. And I have seen other board members that mostly worked in their own self-interest. And I believe that the board should be accountable to the members. The board should represent the members and not just themselves. And so I ran for the board to be, one voice on the board that believed that. And to my delight, I found a bunch of other board members who believe the same thing. So I'm running for the board again to ensure that the board stays that way. This board now, it has done some really, really amazing things to improve the opinion of the Fauna membership of the board. That is a level of trust that had been damaged in the past, and that relationship is being repaired, and I want to see it continue to improve and continue to grow.
Great, thank you. So that does conclude our question and answer session. So I'm going to draw names out of a hat, and we'll just do our 2 minutes. I'm drawing a blank. There's 2 minutes finalization comments. Your ending comments. And I will start with Joe.
Perfect. Thank you, Jason. First, I just want to thank everyone for their time this evening. I know sometimes it takes a little bit of effort to get everyone together and take the time out to listen to everyone and their responses. I've really enjoyed listening to all the other potential nominees, and I just want to thank everyone. So really, at the end of the day, the vote is yours. And if there's anything that I can do or any questions that I can ask that you have for me personally, please feel free to reach out. And thanks for your time.
Great, thank you. Erin?
Yeah, I'm first going to say how excited I am for Fauna to have 5 great candidates in my mind for the Fauna board. I feel like if you listen to our answers, there's a lot of consensus of where we want to take the organization. I think that's really exciting that we all want the organization to succeed and have different ideas and perspectives on how we're going to go about doing that. I do feel like I have a lot to contribute to the board. I have a lot of different hats that I can wear to assist with the breed and helping it move to the future. So thank you, and thank you to the other candidates as well.
Okay, thank you. Charlotte?
Yes. Well, okay. I have to say that I think we have some wonderful candidates for this election, and I think that I can work successfully with any of them. You may have noticed that speaking in front of the camera is probably not my strongest attribute this evening. However, I am confident in my experience with and my commitment to Fauna, its committees, its chapters, and most importantly, its individual members and their horses. I feel like with my experience, I can very well represent both the old members, the long-term members who have built this organization, and the new members that maybe don't have as much experience with Fauna. I think that I have a broad-based knowledge of the inner workings of Fauna that I think can really help. And I'm excited about some of these ideas that the other candidates have brought up. So I hope that I'll be allowed to continue serving in this capacity.
Thank you, Charlotte. Next is Allison.
Thank you. I really want to thank everybody for tuning in and being a part of this. When we first started talking about doing a town hall with the nominees, my name wasn't on the list. It was a couple of years ago, so it seemed like a great idea. And public speaking is really not my thing, so I've had a lot of nerves about this. But I've been serving on the Fauna board for the last 3 years, and I think I've accomplished a lot of the things that I set out to do. And I believe there's a lot more that I can still accomplish if the membership chooses to elect me again for another term. I will keep striving to improve communication between the board's members, and the Fauna members. I will keep working on the initiatives that I've talked about, the Breeders' Achievement Awards, virtual AGM, that sort of thing. My goal here has always been to work to bring our Frisian family and our Fauna family closer together. So whatever I can do towards that goal, I will keep doing. So as always, if anybody has comments, questions, concerns, my door is always open. My phone is always available. You can reach me however, but please reach out to me, and I'm always happy to chat with anyone who wants to talk regions.
Great, thank you. And we'll finish up with Becca.
I also would like to thank all of the candidates. I think we had a really good time tonight, and I enjoyed myself. Thank you to all the members that tuned in to listen and hear of all of our ideas. And thank you, Jason, for moderating tonight and making sure none of us got into a fight or anything like that. You kept looking for the boxing match. Sorry to disappoint. I'm really excited about this opportunity. It's been something that has been an aspiration, as I said before. The Fauna is something I'm very committed to. I'm very committed to the KFPS. A lot of the things that we talked about tonight, these are all visions and goals that are true in my heart, and that I would like to be a part of making come to reality for Fauna and for our members. And also, if you have any questions for anything we talked about tonight, or if you have any other thoughts that you think we could take a look at, please, give me a call, email me. I'm on social media. Feel free to drop me a line that way. And I look forward to hopefully serving the board in this role and helping us grow to the next level. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank each one of you for participating in this town hall. This is our second one that we've done, and we started this last year. And technology has come a long ways just in the last year in allowing us to do this while not sitting in the same room, but by video. So, good things are coming out of COVID, right?
Yeah.
So thank you guys for participating in this. I would like to remind the membership to go to the Fauna website, and under the announcement section, you'll see the candidates. You'll see their bios. They're attached to their names. This has been recorded tonight and will be published on the Fauna website shortly. The election ballots will go out on January 1st, and the election will conclude January 31st. With the winners being announced on February 5th. Those of you who do not have an email on file with Fauna, there's about 160 members. You will get a paper ballot to fill out and sent back to Fauna. In the email ballot, you will have a link back to their bios. If you want to review their bios again, it will be available, and it will also be available in paper for those that are voting by mail. This does conclude our session this evening. I want to thank you guys again. I wish you all good luck and really appreciate your time in taking part in this town hall. So thank you very much and have a great evening and happy holidays.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jason.
Jason. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Jason. You did a great job.
Yeah. Is it time for the wine now?
I was just going to ask that. Who got the wine?
It's wine time, right?
We were supposed to wait?
Oh.
Have a great night, everyone.
Scarlett, you just look the most comfiest, like you're sitting back.